I'd like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for June 27, 2018. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
So, folks, before we do anything else, I just want you to know you're not hearing from above. I guess you're kind of hearing from above. That's Commissioner Andrus, who is attending by telephone, which we've determined is appropriate. Obviously, this is a night when he wanted to be in attendance. Unfortunately, he could not, which we completely understand, and we greatly appreciate every effort. And he has jumped through a lot of different hoops just to make himself available for tonight by way of telephone. So we appreciate him doing that. He can hear everything that we say. He will be a part of the meeting. He will be voting on the outstanding action items, so I didn't want anyone to have any confusion. With that, I'm going to ask our Chief of Police to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief?
The United States.
United States of America.
All right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor of approving the agenda that is up on the screen, and then also before you say aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. Hearing everyone approved, we're going to be able to move forward with what we have. Housekeeping item. Is there a motion to move into the record the consent items in your into the record?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Rogers. The consent items are Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes of May 23, Board of Commissioners workshop meeting minutes of June 13, Treasurer's report of June, bills payable, paid bills, $1,457,139.95. Unpaid bills, $498,205.30. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving those into the record, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, those are approved. Okay, folks, so here's what we're going to do. We have arguably 3 action items that you are all here about. And before we get into that, we're going to open up the floor to residents to have final comments before we go through the action items themselves. I want to first thank everyone who is here tonight, and we also want to thank everyone who has attended all of these meetings over the last, gosh, it's been months and for some of you years or so. We have found that every one of these meetings has always been done in a very dignified and civil manner. We are fully expecting that everyone else is going to act in the same manner tonight. So what that means is, if anyone has any comments, we appreciate your giving the comment. If it's something that you think that we've heard already, you can reiterate it, be brief, so that others can speak. More importantly, when we get to the action items, half of you are going to be happy and half of you are not. That's something I've learned when I got elected very quickly. Half of the people are very pleased and the other half of the world is very unhappy with you. Regardless of which side of this you are on, we do not expect, in fact, we're actually expecting you not to make noises, no cheering, no heckling. Those are the 2 extremes of the 2 possibilities. This is our best effort at government, and we're going to do it in a very civil and dignified manner. Assuming everyone can abide by that, which everyone has over all the other meetings and years, we're going to move forward. So, any questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public about agenda items, and that includes the rezone application? Okay. I don't see anyone going up to the podium at all. So with that, we're going to move on to the action items. First action item is ordinance number 678, which is zoning text amendment. Is there a motion for approval of ordinance 678?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. Before we even have any discussion or have a vote, Aaron, is it Ken? Ken, if you could walk us through, just briefly, what this item is and, because there's 3 different items that are on the agenda. If you could walk us through this, what this one specifically is.
Yes, the first item is an amendment to the RA2 zoning district in Hatfield Township. And it's an amendment that provides for 2 separate changes. One is to allow religious use within the RA2 district by special exception of the zoning hearing board. And the second change is to allow cluster development in accordance with, detailed requirements contained in the ordinance. So that's a broad overview. If you'd like me to go into any more detail, I'd be happy to do so.
No, but understand, folks, that when you're with us, in order to actually get to the second vote, which is the actual zoning change, this first one would have to be approved. Okay, everybody understand and follow so far? Okay, all right.
And this is where we're going to vote to have smaller lots than we have anywhere else in the township for single-family homes, except trailer parks, which, you know, they're going to throw at us too. So you're about to vote for smaller lots than anywhere in the township, so that they can have as many houses as they came in with. When we asked them, we don't want as many houses. So that's what you're about to vote on.
Everybody understand? I'm going to open it up to the commissioners in a second. Last chance, any residents? All right, seeing none. Any commissioners want to speak before we have a vote? I know I do, but I'll allow others to speak first. Jerry, any comment, question?
Yeah. No, sir.
Or Larry?
I said what I had to say. You're about to vote to have smaller lots. So we're going to add more houses. That's what we're doing here, more.
So, folks, since the first ordinance, or the second and the third matters are reliant upon the first, I'm going to give you my thoughts after this very long, arduous process that we have gone through now, and then obviously they would apply more specifically probably to the second one. I want to start by saying that this has been a difficult decision, and when I say difficult, I mean I have received more email and phone calls about this, probably more than just about any issue except for something we had some years ago. And near the end here, to be blunt, I was a little disappointed to see that some of the residents were more in attack mode than they were in giving an opinion as to what their thoughts were. And I will tell you that it was equal on both sides. So there were numerous times I had to readjust myself and say, okay, how do I get to the right decision? I continued to go back every single time and ask myself, what's the ultimate question? The ultimate question from my perspective is whether, because it's not going to be left as open space. Anyone here who thinks that the township is going to buy this or that there's going to be left at open space, that's not an actual reality. I don't care which side you're on, no one thinks that this is going to be left as open space. So what this came down to is whether we wanted homes or a business. And there might be a number of you who were here when I went through the different bits of feedback. There's about 10 different feedbacks that I got from folks, from residents throughout this. And here's the first one. More homes creates more traffic on Cowpath. The answer to that is that's entirely true. Now the question is whether you want to have more cars or with a company, whether you want to have trucks. The intersection of Durstein and Cowpath is already dangerous. Well, one of the items that's before us is would allow for a light to be placed at that location.
However, that's in our Act 209 to be done, and the only reason it isn't done yet is because we took the steps to try and acquire the property for Villa Road and Cowpath so we could try and improve that there. So to say that that's a reason to rezone this doesn't float. We would have had that done by now if we didn't take the steps to go ahead and try and realign one of the worst intersections on Cowpath.
It's true. And I have to tell you that Vice President Hughes has been dead on a lot of these points throughout the process. And so what he said this evening is accurate. We used the money to purchase that piece of property at
Gas station at Cowpath.
gas station at Cowpath and Orvilla. This would allow us to have a light at that intersection sooner probably than later. Homes, one of the other comments, homes will bring more children into the school system. Well, that is counterbalanced, there's no doubt about it. Bringing in students means that the school district is going to have to use additional resources to educate, let's say, a rough number, if there's 65 homes, could be 35, 40 children. The counterbalance to that I've heard other people say is that 55 and older communities, commercial properties, impact fees, they can't, well, not impact fees, sorry, and commercial properties paying school taxes counterbalance that. Residents prefer that the township buy the property, not, that the township buy the property, but we already discussed that, that's not an option. Some months ago, probably half a year ago, somebody said the proximity of the BAPS church could theoretically be a problem with the residential development and the temple being near each other. Based on what I've experienced and seen, I don't think that that's a remaining issue. Many residents prefer homes over industry. All right, I'm going to digress for a second since this is try and make some light of this. I speak at the Boy Scouts every year. I brought this issue to the Boy Scouts to ask them what their opinion is. They always ask me, what do you do? And I asked them, what would you do? Can you believe that there were about 10 kids and 5 of them said 5 voted that they wanted to have businesses and 5 voted that they want to have residences. And it was at that point I realized there's no right or wrong answer here. It is whatever the 5 of us think is in the best interest of the township. The open space on the plan is good for the adjacent property owners. Yes, there's been buffers that have been built into it. A number of members have come to me, a number of residents have come to me and mentioned property rights and someone's ability to develop one's property and the significance of that. Another person told us not to be a rubber stamp of the county planning commission. I will tell you the counter to that is that our local planning commission here, where members that I trust implicitly, approve this plan. And if ultimately, if the applicant is denied, another type of land development may occur. These are all the different items that have been confronted to us. I go back to the original question is, what is in the best interest of Hatfield, and what do we want there? This is our only chance. Vice President Hughes has been right. This is the only chance that we have to have an impact on what's going to be there, whether it's going to be business or residents.
And it's the only chance you have to have an impact on Cowpath Road. You can add more residential traffic, or you can hope that it stays light industrial, and the traffic will use Township Line Road and the future connector road. So this is your only chance to affect Cowpath Road, and Cowpath Road is not getting any better.
And he's right. And so the question that's presented to us is, what do we want on that road? And what do we think is best suited for us? All right. Any commissioners, any other comments or questions? All right. Well, then I will call a question on ordinance number 678. All in favor of ordinance 678, say aye.
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 Jerry, did you say aye?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Opposed?
No?
No.
All right, that ordinance passes by a vote of 3-2. Next is a zoning map amendment, ordinance number 679. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 679?
Moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers,
I second.
second by Commissioner Andrus. Ken, if you would walk us through this.
Yes, thank you. This ordinance affects 2 properties, the BAPS property at 2021 Township Line Road and the Walter property at 3515 Cowpath Road. The current zoning of the BAPS property is LI, light industrial. The current zoning of the Walter property is, it is zoned in 2 districts, the RA1 district and the LI, light industrial district. The amendment in ordinance 679 would amend the map, the zoning map of Hatfield Township, to show both parcels in the RA2 zoning district.
All right, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor of ordinance number 679, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, ordinance number 679 is approved 3-2. Last is a conditional use application for 3515 Cowpath Road. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. Ken, if you'd walk us through this.
I think I'm going to ask Kristen maybe to explain this one to you, because this is the legal decision, which is a result of your hearing at the May meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ken. I prepared two versions of the conditional use adjudication. One was a denial in the event the commissioners did not pass the two ordinances, which would have made the conditional use application defunct. The second is an approval in the event in which you did vote to pass the two ordinances, adopting the RA2 and the provisions thereof as amended, as well as the rezoning, permits by conditional use the application as presented by the applicant. So what I have before you is my recommendation for an approval with appropriate legal discussion and conditions.
Okay, so I would just take a motion for approval of the application you just referenced.
That would be the proper motion.
All right. Is there a motion for approval of the conditional use application that our solicitor just referred to?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor of the motion for approval of that conditional use application, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
All right, that passes by 3-2. Just three more action items unrelated to the rezone, but we'd ask that you stay because it's going to be easier for us to move through those. There is before us a motion to provide a conditional offer of employment. Are we making that? Oh, I'm sorry. It's over here, right?
You have the name in front of you, Mr. President.
Where's that? Right here. Okay, I'm sorry. Here's the next action item, number 4. Motion to provide a conditional offer of employment to Brian McLaughlin as a patrolman based on the eligibility list certified by the Hatfield Township Civil Service Commission, conditioned upon successful completion of a psychological and physical examination. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rogers. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what is going on, is that we are bringing an additional police officer onto our force. We had a resignation recently, and our process is the Civil Service Commission, which is a kind of it's a separate commission that is appointed by the commissioners, makes a recommendation as to who that next patrol person would be. They have recommended to us this individual, Brian McLaughlin, and then, of course, the motion states that his employment with us as a police officer would be conditioned upon successful completion of a psychological and physical examination. Any questions or comments, commissioners? Anyone else? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, Jerry. So that's, that's no opposed. We did get your aye, and that is a 5-0 vote.
Okay.
Two action items left. Is there a motion for number 5? Is there a motion for approval of the air pack purchase as budgeted for from the Fire Reserve Fund for the Hatfield Fire Company in the amount of $243,593.34?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Thomas. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this, we have a capital plan over a number of years that from the Fire Fund that purchases for not only Hatfield Fire but also Calmer Fire are made from, the purchases are made from those accounts. This is for air packs as previously budgeted and discussed by our Public Safety Committee. The amount for that is $243,593.34. This was recommended by the Public Safety Committee to be passed by our board as a whole. If there's any other questions or comments? None, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Last, cost share agreement with regard to Berge Road paving, North Penn Water Authority. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. Not sure if Ken or Aaron.
I can just
walk
do a
us through
quick explanation, Mr. President. A lot of the people in the room, given where they live, are probably well aware that a water line is being replaced on Berge Road, and you can't drive down that corridor at this point. This simply, Commissioners, is an agreement between Hatfield Township and North Penn Water Authority to split the costs of paving the entire road when the water line replacement is complete, rather than have the utility just pave half of the road. We thought it made sense, since it was slated for repaving, to pave the entire road and split the cost with the authority. This just memorializes and outlines the cost to both entities.
All right, unless there's any other questions or comments, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Last is citizens' comments. That's our last action items. Are there any citizens' comments on non-agenda items? Now is the time. I knew that someone is coming on behalf of Green Acres Nursery and Garden Center. Is that correct? Folks, you're welcome to, not that I'm going to slight them, but if you want to stick around and hear this comment, it's about an unrelated matter to the rezone, or you're welcome to leave. Don't feel like you're trapped now. Our meeting is essentially almost come to a conclusion.
Light works or not?
Bob, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I knew you were coming, and I knew your name was Bob. That's about as much as I know. Let's give everyone who wishes to leave a couple of minutes to step out.
Yes, sir.
Bob, why don't you begin? I believe that you have kind of a description of something that you'd like us to hear and maybe consider. I'm not exactly sure.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, my name is Robert Crescenzio, Green Acres Nursery and Garden Center, 270 West County Line Road, Colmar, PA, Hatfield Township. I did drop off some packets to Commissioner Thomas, and I believe the board received those. Is that correct?
It,
Okay. I have that packet with me, and I'd just like to review that and try to bring everyone up to speed. I'm in need of your assistance with the traffic light ordinance at New Britain Boulevard and County Line Road in Colmar. This directly affects my business and, more importantly, the safety of every driver in Bucks and Montgomery County. New Britain Township is putting a traffic signal in Hatfield Township at New Britain Road and County Line Road. Since County Line Road is a border road, half of that signal is in Hatfield. Therefore, though you may not be paying for it, Hatfield is a joint permittee of the PennDOT traffic signal plan.
That's not correct.
As per-
Everything that we could do to work with you to make sure that New Britain came to us, asked us to condemn your property. We said no, okay?
thank you.
That's the only thing that we had to do with this traffic light. That was the only thing that we had. We had nothing to do with the permitting. It's between New Britain and PennDOT.
Is that a legal thing for them to do, to ask another township
Yeah.
to condemn someone else's property?
Yeah.
You can't condemn outside of your municipality. So New Britain needed Hatfield to condemn since the business is located within this municipality. Planning and Zoning Committee, which we brought the request to, which is chaired by Commissioner Hughes and Commissioner Rogers, denied the request several years ago. And we're all very familiar with this, and you can continue, but we understand the situation well, and we feel like we've done as much as we can to help.
Okay, I ask that your traffic engineer review the plans and the associated studies, especially since traffic signals in Pennsylvania are owned and maintained by the municipalities in which jurisdiction the signal resides.
Well, that's not true again, because we're not responsible for that signal in any way.
I spoke to Fran Haney from PennDOT, and he told me otherwise.
New Britain Township is the applicant. They are the permittee. They will own and they will maintain the traffic signal entirely.
New Britain, once the signal is relatively easy to provide the Hatfield side with a safe signalized access. If Hatfield Township reviews the plans and finds the need to accommodate my driveway, I will gladly offer right away to help provide a safe and proper design. Even though New Britain says they have convinced PennDOT, it seems they did so without the benefit of Hatfield's side of the story. My driveway is being ignored. Perhaps they should accommodate it by making a four-way intersection or at least a three-way offset signal and include an ADA accommodation. Also, please consider that traffic signals increase the rear-end accidents occurrences. Eastbound rear end accidents will be in Hatfield Township and likely be the responsibility of Hatfield's police and EMS personnel. As a young boy in grade school, I was taught first and foremost that the responsibility of our government was to protect and preserve the security and safety of all of its citizens. PennDOT really doing that. This portion of roadway where the proposed traffic light is to be installed has a blind spot as you approach westbound and a sizable hill when traveling eastbound. Both are potential accident sites. All 4 lanes are not signalized. And I ask that members of the board come out and see this for themselves, as PennDOT is doing, and an aide from Bob Godshall's office came out today, and he looked at it. Mr. Ned Smith was out today looking at the situation, and I ask that the commissioners please come out and see for themselves. I know PennDOT has issued a permit, but it's never too late to do the right thing. I think we should at least have a say in the matter. I thank you for your attention, and I'd just like to ask you to consider what's going on here. Myself and my wife and my children have operated our nursery at this location for over 39 years. This improvement will definitely benefit us, but more importantly, it will greatly benefit the driving public of both Hatfield and New Britain Townships. I cannot say for certain if my family will still be operating our nursery at this location in 39 years from now, but I can most positively say that Hatfield Township will still be an operating and a functioning township more than we will be in 39 years. So in long term, 39, 59, or 100 years from now, Hatfield Township will continue to reap the benefits of these safety improvements that are going to be made in 2018 and 2019. I ask you to consider this long-term outlook when making your decision. Our community is growing and getting larger every day and each year. And again, long-term, I'm 64 years old. I've been at this site for 39 years of my 64 years. I don't know how much more time I have, or how much more time my family has, but after we're gone and someone else takes over the property, Hatfield Township's still going to reap the benefits of this, and the driving public's going to reap the benefits of this. And that's what I ask you to consider. When we talked to New Britain Township, they shut us down originally because they said doing this driveway would cost them close to $50,000. At that time, they wanted to offer us $12,000 for our right-of-way. Our counter was, we don't want the $12,000, we want the driveway put in because it's going to improve the safety of our people, of our deliveries coming in and out, and the driving public. What I'm saying is there's 4 parties involved here. There's us, there's New Britain Township, there's Hatfield Township, and there's PennDOT. We divided that 4 ways. You're looking at $12,500 from each party, which is not a lot of money when you consider a casualty or someone getting maimed or injured for the rest of their life. And again, after we're gone, Green Acres Nursery is no longer there for 20, 30 years from now. Hatfield Township, I see up there, says 1742. Hatfield Township is going to continue long after Green Acres and Bob Crestinzio is gone. So that's what I ask you to consider. And another thing, last week, Tuesday the 19th, Tuesday morning around 8:30, there was a 3 to 4 car pileup. You can check the police records down on the bridge that is probably about 1,100 feet away from this intersection. So all I'm saying is I ask you to consider it, come out, look at the site. State Representative Godshall is coming out tomorrow. Ned Smith, his assistant, his aide, was there today, and we're trying to convince PennDOT to help us. But again, if you're looking at 4 parties and an expense, and I think $50,000 is exaggerated. If it was $50,000, $12,500 for all 4 parties, I don't think that's asking too much.
Mr. President, can I respond?
Sure.
Hi, my name's Kristen Pianzio. I'm the township lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
The township would not be legally able or capable to participate in the private development of your property, which is what it turns out to be. They could not pay for any portion of a driveway to be installed on your property. They're not legally able to do that. So that's...
Is PennDOT qualified to do that?
PennDOT pays for projects that they have funding for. that's a PennDOT issue, but I can only speak for the township, and I know that I can tell you, and I would advise the commissioners, that it would be illegal for them to participate in the private development of your property in the way that you describe.
Okay, so my only avenue then would be to talk to PennDOT and try to convince them. And we've had conversations with Fran Haney, and he seems very agreeable. I do have emails that were in that packet that I gave you from Fran Haney as of last Thursday and Friday.
I think the appropriate parties with whom you should converse is PennDOT and New Britain Township. They are the two parties in front of you. They are PennDOT approved this permit, New Britain applied for it. Hatfield Township does not have a dog in this fight, and nor can they. So I would encourage you, if you want some relief or some help, to approach those two entities.
And Bob and Cena, can I just jump in last thing? And I don't want to jump, I don't want to jump in on you guys and gang up on you. You guys are a valuable business. You've been here a long time. We have a relationship. We've spent 4 years working on this project together. There's been several people on the dais that have been to your business and met with New Britain, trying to facilitate and trying to get to a place where all parties could be happy. Just two things I want to point out to make it very clear to the public in case someone's watching or listening. One thing, if all 5 commissioners, including Jerry on the phone, looked at me and said, we don't want the traffic signal, go and do something about it, there's nothing legally the township can do at this point. And I've confirmed that with PennDOT officials. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear of where we are in the position. Even, I know they all want to help you out, but at this point, the township can do nothing. That's been confirmed. The second point I just want to make is and we've talked about this privately, and I was hoping we wouldn't have to have this discussion publicly, and I said that to you several times 2 days ago. But if Green Acres would like to have a driveway and create a 4-way drive area that like you guys desire, just like any other business or resident in Hatfield Township that accesses a state road, you simply apply for a permit through PennDOT and you can make that happen. I mean, that is available to Green Acres at any time. And we would be happy to support that and to give feedback through our traffic engineering team to help you with that. But obviously, like Kristen said, we can't put public money to improve private property.
Okay, so New Britain Township would be the avenue to go through that.
New Britain's the only one right now that has any control with the permit. PennDOT approved it, New Britain applied for it. New Britain has publicly already bid the project 2 weeks ago, so it's moving forward. New Britain supervisors are the ones that are the ultimate decision makers at this point.
Well, as you know, Aaron, we started with them in 2015.
I was there.
And there's 4 drawings there. They proposed their first drawing to us, and we came back with a second drawing, which is in the packet, which I'm sure is in front of you, showing the driveway, making it a 4-way intersection instead of a 3-way intersection, which
Right.
I think you'll admit is much safer for the driving public. They shot that down immediately. They said it was too costly. They came back with multiple times talking to us. We told them what we wanted, and they just kept shooting it down. They would not budge, would not do anything. So we received a letter 2 weeks ago saying that we no longer need your property. Well, previous to that, they came to you and asked you to condemn our property.
Well, and previous to that, they offered to purchase an easement from Green Acres.
For $12,000.
Value of $12,000.
Which we said, we'll put the $12,000 into the driveway if you want to put that towards the improvements. We told them that.
We didn't want the money.
And they said, we didn't want the money. We said, put the
I don't know where that conversation went, but you're correct. Then they came to Hatfield and said, please condemn the property.
Yes.
Commissioner said, we're not condemning a business owner in Hatfield Township.
And I thank you for that. Thank you all for that.
And since then, there hasn't been any communication until I received the same letter you received 2 weeks ago saying that New Britain redesigned the signal plan to not need an easement from any
Yes.
private property, and PennDOT approved it.
And that's exactly right. And at that point, they invited us over last Monday to a meeting at New Britain Township, 10 o'clock Monday morning. And at that point, we had a conversation with PennDOT and Mr. Haney and Mr. Patel from PennDOT, King of Prussia. They both said, oh, great, it looks like they're going to sit down and work with you. And we were excited. People at PennDOT were excited, Mr. Haney, Mr. Patel. We went to that meeting. We walked in. Eileen Bradley, the township manager, invited me and my wife over. We went over without representation, just the 2 of us.
Bob, before you continue, I just want to make sure you're aware that you are at a public meeting with, this is on a video and on
Yes.
websites, and there's a newspaper reporter in the room.
And-
Just
and-
before you go on, because I know where you're going with this conversation. I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, and we arrived at the township building, 5 of 10. Eileen Bradley came out, greeted us, and she said, come on back to the meeting room. We walk in the meeting room.
Bob, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
I don't even know what you're going to say, but when my township manager says you should be particularly careful about what you say, that means something to me. I think for you, in the best interest of your organization, your business, which is, you know, we expect that, we hope that you guys thrive. You're a great and long-standing
Thank you.
Hatfield Township business. I don't want you to say anything that is going to somehow be detrimental to your business. I don't even
Thank
know
you.
what you could say right now, but he just gave you a warning. I'm going to reiterate it.
Okay, I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just recounting what happened that day.
I understand. I just,
Okay.
careful. I don't want you to say something that is somehow going to jeopardize an ability that you have with PennDOT to get something done. I was about to say earlier the fact that Mr. Smith from Bob Godshall's office came out, and that Representative Godshall is coming out, to
Yes.
me is a great sign.
Yes.
They're two of the best. They're one of the best state representatives that Pennsylvania's ever had, and Mr. Smith is one of the best assistants associated to one of the best state reps. I think you've got two people, it sounds like, in your corner. My recommendation is that you push down that road, and then feel free to give us a call and say, hey, this is where we're at, either successful or unsuccessful.
Okay.
But I don't want you to say something that's going to somehow jeopardize your interests down the road.
Okay.
Or prevent them from being able to help you out.
Well, I believe in the truth, and I believe the truth should see the light of day, and that's why I'm going to continue.
That's fine. I just wanted you to do
This,
what's...
this is the truth, and if you have a Bible, I'll be happy to put my hand over it.
No, we have no reason to not believe you. I just don't want you to say something that affects your interests adversely. That's it.
Well, now I need to hear what you have to say. There's been so much buildup and warning.
Dan's salivating over here, but
Well, again, me and my wife walked into the meeting. We were very optimistic. We thought, gee, they're putting out an olive branch. They want to work with us. Mr. Patel and Mr. Haney from PennDOT, same thing. We have the emails saying the same thing on Friday afternoon. We walk in Monday morning, 10 o'clock, and I walk into a room, and there's 6 people sitting there. It was the township attorney, it was 2 people from Gilmore Associates, Helen Hahn, commissioner, maybe one other person, but there's 6 people sitting there.
Someone
So
from New
me-
Britain. You're
From New
referring to
Britain.
somebody from New Britain, because none of the
Yeah.
people you just referenced are from Hatfield.
No, not at all. This is New Britain.
Right.
And we sat down, and basically they said to us, by the way, when I walked in, if you saw that movie, Goodfellas,
Yes.
I felt like Joe Pesci when they said he was going to be a made man, and he walked into the room, and he looked, and he said, oh, no, and he got the bullet in the head. And that's what I walked into the room, and I said, what's this? So anyway, we sat down, and they said, we're here to tell you that we don't need your property. We're moving ahead with the project. We don't need anything from you. We redesigned everything, and we're moving forward with the project. Me and my wife looked at each other, and we thought, gee, where's the olive branch? We were trying to work with these people. Long story short, I looked over to the people at Gilmore Associates, the engineers, and I said, could you give me an idea as to what it cost to redesign all this, to come out, reconfigure? And the one person from Gilmore Associates said, probably in the area of $30,000. And then Eileen Bradley spoke up and said, no, I think it was more like 50 or 55,000 to do all this re-engineering. I looked down and I said, so you spent 50 to 55,000 on ink and paper and engineering fees, when that could have been put in from your quoted price of $50,000 in physical improvements, spend it on engineering fees rather than working with someone and trying to make it better for the public safety. They said yes. So at that point, I said, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We got up and we left.
Is that where it is now?
And that's where it is now, sir. So obviously, we tried to work with it. We're here tonight trying to work with you people. I understand what you're saying. So our next avenue will be PennDOT and Representative Godshaw.
Definitely.
And I just want you to know and everybody to know what happened. I mean, I'm in business for 39 years. You don't stay in business for 39 years not getting along with people and not meeting people halfway. And then when I heard, Aaron told me 2 days ago that they came to this board and asked them to condemn my property and conspired behind us without mentioning anything to us about that. It shows how desperate some people can be. And I just think it's appalling. So I've said my piece. I thank you for your time. And we'll pursue it with Representative Godshaw, and again, I thank you for the opportunity to say what I had to say.
Definitely. Yeah. We appreciate you
Thank you
coming
very
up.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To both of you. All right. Any other citizens' comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Rogers. I'll call the question. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
He fell asleep.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for coming out.